Good morning to you viewers, this is the Colonel speaking to you live from the Grange for British Imperial YouTube Broadcasting. And here we have a sort of story really this time by G.H. Snazelle called An Australian Yarn. I do hope, it's an early record, about 1910, I do hope you'll be able to pick up what he's saying. It's not very funny, but there you go. Rare record there, by golly. Right, here we go.
True story of a poor Australian squatter. It's generally understood here, amongst the juveniles at any rate, that the Australian bush means a sort of scrub on furs, like we see on our heaths and commons in England. But what it really does mean, trees anything from about 100 to 300 feet high. Now I want you to call up to your mind's eye a poor Australian squatter who went out to Australia years ago, and he thought, as most of us think here, that it was just a scrub at the bush, that his land would be all ready for him to sow his corn on or graze his cattle. When he sees all these enormous trees, and he's got to cut them down, he despairs. He's 500 miles away from anywhere on his little station. He's sitting very disconsolate outside of his hut door one Sunday morning, and over the porch is a placard with Ici on parle français on it. Well, that's a very strange thing to see in the Australian bush. But another extraordinary thing happens that morning. A poor shipwrecked sailor, we'll say, a Frenchman anyway, comes along, pumping his fluid, as they call it. He hasn't seen a house or a hut for days. You can imagine his joy and surprise when he sees this little hut, and in his own language, Ici on parle français over the top. Well, he rushes up to this poor sundowner, and Frenchman-like, he kisses him on both cheeks, and says, "Oh, que je suis heureux de vous voir, vous êtes français." This old sundowner is half frightened. He says, "Here, what are you giving us?" He says, "I'll not give you nothing, my friend. But you are French." He says, "You're a liar." He says, "I ain't." He says, "I'm Australian." But he says, "You speak the French." He says, "Not me." He says, "I speak Australian. That's good enough for me." But it's for fire. You have over the door, ici on parle français. Well, he says, "Can't I have what I like over my own door? What's it got to do with you?" "Oh, my friend," he says, "you know not what it means." "I know what it means well enough," says the old sundowner. He says, "No, you know not what it means. That means that you speak the French. Ici on parle français." He says, "You're old hard." He says, "Is that what that says over my hut door?" "Certainement," it is. Then he says, "It's jolly hard lines." He says, "I give you my word. A chap came along here the other day, and he sold me that placard for 4 bob, and he told me it was the Latin for God bless my happy home."
Humour has changed over the years, viewers, hasn't it? There we are. Hard lines, eh? That's sort of rubbish they used to say to me at school. Anyway, thank you, viewers. Goodbye.